Yes, winter is coming. Whew, it's cool in here, just below freezing. I think it's time to fire up the heater. Well, things need cleaning up. Once I have that done, it's time to get the John Deere hooked up with the snowblower. I don't think we're too far off. This won't be long before we get some snow, so I need to be ready for it. So there's the little Deere ready to go for winter. What I will do is put a heat lamp over top of the engine with the cowling up, of course. And I've also got a battery blanket wrapped around its battery, so I will plug that in. And that will help protect it through the cold nights, and it does really make a difference in the way it starts. With that heat lamp on, it just kicks over like it's a spring morning, so that works really well. So that's another part of the winter preparation done. So it's a beautiful day out here today. I can't believe it. It's about 7 degrees. And I have just finished up yesterday, which was kind of a miserable, damp, dark day. I finished up with the sawmill. So the sawmill is basically put to bed now. So we'll have a quick look there and see what it is I've done lumber-wise. So there's the sawmill all covered up. I have one little job left to do, which I'll have to take the cover off for, and that's to drain the carburetor in the motor on that. But as you can see, we've got a lot of lumber here. This has really worked very well. I've got lots of stickers, although you sure go through stickers at a pace. So I've got my sunroom roof lumber. These two stacks are for siding. Now this stack is 2x6s for the sunroom, and on the top of that are my battens for the siding. And then I've got 2x4s for the job I'm doing inside. And then I have got some 5x5 posts that I'm going to be using to make stands to store the lumber. And there is some more 3x1s. They're going to be used for strapping for putting drywall ceiling up in the one room I'm going to be working on. And then some oddball pieces left over that are cut into 2x2s and other various sizes. So as you can see, I've got things pretty well covered, but still lots of air can go through. And hopefully this cover will last through the winter. And even if it doesn't, it's not that big of a deal because this wood is so well protected now. It should be fine. So next on the list for today is to head down to Art's. Now Art's not home right now, but I still have a cover to put over top of Donna's garage. They have the same type of storage dome that I have down here, so I'm doing the same thing to theirs that I've done to both of mine, which I've talked about in an earlier video. Now these garages are listed as a temporary garage, so you really can't expect them to last forever. But this kind of situation where I've got them covered is going to make them last a whole lot longer. I believe, anyway. That's the premise that I'm working on. So I've got a lot of my equipment all stacked and put away. We're getting ready for winter. That's the backhoe underneath that cover. I've got the grader blade on the back of the tractor, making it ready for winter, and the shovel is on it. And there's the ATV. I still have to put my plow on the front of the ATV. So we've come a long ways along to getting things ready for winter. The trailer, we're still waiting for the cover for that. And then I have to figure out where I'm going to store it for the winter. It's not going to stay there. I may just tuck it back in here once I've got the cover here for it and got it protected. So I'm down here inside the dome at Art's, and you can see what happens to these things after they're exposed to the sun for a little while. This top is crispy, and it's actually got some substantial holes in it. And it is so crispy that I'm sure it won't take a snow load again. So we'll see if we can get this thing set up with a canopy on top of it. Now, one thing worth mentioning here, the instructions on putting these things together aren't really clear. So if you get one and put it together, keep in mind that this end top pole, it goes over top of the supports all the way along except for the ends. At this point, this peak pole is supposed to come inside and be fastened underneath this support. Otherwise you end up with an edge up here from this pole, and you can see the result of that. So I'm going to try to take this screw out here and push this rib back and get this pole inside to where it belongs. Alright, so I've got both ends now fixed, so you can see the end pipe is now on the inside. So you can see this end of this pipe is now on the inside of the end rib. So that's going to stop that from poking through. So that's both sides done. Now the weather is turning on us, unfortunately, but at least this is now ready for the tarp to go over top of it. Once the tarp is on. So now that we have got Art's dome basically ready for its cover, it's snowing a little bit out there, so I can't put the cover on today, plus Art is away, so we have to wait for the next clear day. So one of the next things on my project list is to check out our Christmas decorations, because I want to start actually getting them in place, not activated, but in place before everything freezes up solid and is covered in snow. It'll be much easier to deal with now rather than after a couple of snowstorms. So let's test out Santa and see if he's actually going to work this year. Looks okay. All right, so Santa is now in place and protected, covered from the snow, which is bound to be coming. So that gives me room in the shop again, and I do have another job down at Arts to do. So another new day, and we've had a bit of snow. As you can see, we've got a bit on the trails, and it is pretty cool out, which makes it much harder for filming with the GoPro. Unfortunately, the batteries on the GoPro don't last very long in cool temperatures like this, so I have to either keep them in my pocket or keep the whole camera in my pocket, which can be a bit tricky sometimes. But anyway, what I'm doing today is continuing work on trails through the back of the property. When this property was logged quite a few years ago, 30 plus years ago, there was a number of roads put through to allow the bigger equipment to get back through when they were doing that. Now, I'm not looking to do that kind of logging, but I do want to reestablish these trails to allow me to get back to some of the cedar groves and that type of thing that are on the property. So I've been working on that for a few days now. I've reestablished a couple of trails, and I'm making them just big enough to allow me to get my little Kubota tractor back through them. So we're going to continue on that today on this trail. So this is an example of what can happen as cedars get overcrowded. This is just rotting from basically the top up. And if you were to cut this one, there's a very good chance that everything down through the center of it is rotten. But you can see up at the top here where it's busted off and dropping branches and is quite deformed. But if there's some decent timber in there, it may be usable still. And then I'll have to figure out what I'm going to replant this area in. I think I'm probably going to put pine in. Find something indigenous to the area and replant once I get some of this scrubby crap out of here. All right, we're making some progress. So let's get the ATV a little farther back in. So as you can see, it's pretty rough back in here. I don't think this will ever be a trail that I can bring the tractor in on, but we'll see. This is part of the property I've never seen before. I've not been back in here. And you can tell whoever cut this did not cut it with any thought of sustainability. Things are pretty messy. Lots and lots of stumps all over the place. But it's my dream to clean a lot of this up, get rid of the scrub and replant. So we'll keep moving along here. that's it, guys. We've made it up to the thick edge of the bush here. Now there's nothing of any great thickness in here, but it's so crowded. Everything is really tall as it fights for sunlight. So it's going to be a real challenge to get through. But anyway, we're partway back in. And I think I'm still a couple of 100 feet from joining up with one of my other trails. A couple 100 feet through this stuff is going to be fun. But that's going to be it for today. What I want to do is get back to the house and get some dry clothes on, and then we'll probably head out to Art, and we'll go down and have a look at his wood processor lean-to. It's quite the thing. All right, let's get running and get back out of here. So there is Art's dome, or actually Donna's, and I've got the cover on it now, so it should be good for the winter. So here is Art's wood processor lean-to. It has turned into a Cadillac of lean-tos. They've actually put some insulation up on the walls. It's all closed in at the back, with a door that they open up for ventilation, and these two big windows in it. Now, these windows are actually patio doors that are put in sideways. It's quite clever. So it's really made a huge difference for Art when he's running the wood processor. He's no longer sitting in the storm. So this is working quite the treat for him. Steve and Bob were the guys who did all this finishing work on it, and they really did a terrific job. This just looks great. And if it ever becomes necessary to actually move the wood processor, these doors can be opened up and just pull the whole thing out. So it's a very nice setup. They did a great job on it. And it's made the world a difference for Art in the temperature and the weather conditions that he has to work in. We're going to head back and I think put equipment away and probably get a hot chocolate. The trail work has gone very well. I've gotten pretty far back in, and I'm pretty excited as to the point where I've gotten things to. Being back into a piece of the property I've never actually laid foot on is pretty neat. But as you saw, it's going to be quite the job clearing some of that up to get my trail the rest of the way through. But that's okay. This is a very good time of year for doing that kind of thing. All the leaves are gone. There's no bugs at all, and it's not too terribly cold, so it's really working quite well. So thanks very much for watching, guys. We'll see you out on the trails the next time.